And now, America's Midweek Review.
Whenever dark is falling, you know the spirit of the party starts to come alive until the day is dawning. We can throw our arms.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Midweek Review. Another great edition, obviously, September 23rd, 2020. And I am your host, Yanni. On this beautiful Wednesday evening, we're going to go through the news and go through some articles and unpack a lot of things in the short time that we have here today. But we're going to keep it moving, no doubt about it. As you watch the video that we just played before you, I can't help but think about other countries that have been in upheaval and have had turmoil rained upon them like bullets coming from the sky, oppression put upon them from the time of their birth. And it's amazing because we're starting to see traces of Marxism, socialism, communism, all these combinations in this country right now. And so we had a verdict today that came down. And it's so crazy because here in 2020, the landscape of American society, it's the complexity is changing, at a rapid level, I would say. And these people out here, they're becoming more and more delusional. And so the dangers of the new normal, there is a danger, I believe. You hear people say, well, the dangers of the new normal, dangers of the new normal. The reason why it's important for us to tell the truth and also important for us to be accurate in what we do, what we say, how we move in this country. Well, first of all, you have a Democrat or someone who is of the left-leaning ilk that wants to derail your work, derail your rights, derail your voice, and silence you. I can see if these were things that were, pie in the sky or maybe hypothetical, but they're happening today. And oh my gosh, we have so much stuff to get off into. But let's talk about the protesters. Being able to go out and protest. We've heard for weeks and months on end that the protesters are mostly peaceful. First, they were peaceful protests until we saw the first fire break out. Oh, the first window got broken. And once that first window got broken, it turned into mostly peaceful protesters. And as the flame continued to get hotter and everyone in this country became more uncomfortable, like a burning sweater that's on fire, kerosene, everything, every type of flammable fluid is within the fibers of that sweater. But over time, you can see in this country, and it's a shame that the protesters are not really protesters. The protesters have a combination of a lot of things. I call them fronts, like a front group, right? These people are being funded by somebody. And the stuff we're going to get off into tonight is going to be some fantastic information and data because let me tell you what, these guys are going for the jugular of this country. They're trying to bring complete disorder so they can come in and save the day with the Joe Biden presidency. I'm sorry. If I was a leftist, I probably wouldn't be on the radio or on the internet. And if I was, you're going to see how they respond later. But there's the danger. With those protesters, it seems like later on the rioters came out. Where did those rioters come from? They got parachuted in from George Soros' little bunker somewhere in America. No one knows where he is and no one knows where the dark money is coming from. I find that very, very curious. Just think about that. Think about that for a second. The organization, the rioters, they come. And now you have two different factions and groups of people that are causing disruption and chaos in the streets. I look at the Breitbart articles here, and up front, it is absolutely crazy. As soon as the verdict came down. So you have the curfew happening. We're going to talk about that just very, very briefly. But the governor put the curfew on those in Kentucky. And so you're a full-grown adult in a free country, and now you have to go on lockdown at a certain time because someone else was irresponsible. How is that fair to you or anyone in this country? I don't think it's fair. But you look at the the headline articles here. Post, and this is going to be Breitbart, and so it's a great news site. Breonna Taylor protest riots break out in cities across the nation. You guys kind of see or got a taste of what you guys saw in that video as we started the show. 2 officers shot in Louisville. They're shooting police officers, and they're not trying to shoot cops. They're shooting them in the head. They're taking headshots, in turn taking them from their families. And so how is that a peaceful protest? Then we have the looters that come in. Now we have 3 factions of this front group, and now we have the looters added to the combination. $2 billion plus damage was done in the looting since May from Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all the front groups that are out there. This the damage. And I have a question for you guys out there in America. You say you want to burn the system down, and now you say you don't want to burn the system down. Can you try to cover your tracks since people are starting to wake up? But if you say you want to burn the system down, what are you going to replace it with? Ladies and gentlemen, could someone tell me who is going to replace the system with something that's better, that's worked more good than anything in this world over the last 200 years? Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are we crazy? Absolutely. Do we have some screws loose in America? Absolutely. But we're the most generous, the most gracious, the most humble, but the most powerful nation in the world. And so we have to take pride in our country. But you have the protesters, the rioters. Now the looters come out. Target's being hit. Macy's being hit. All these places are being hit. And you guys remember, with the friendly protest at first, it was only about writing Black Lives Matters murals. Oh, look at the Black Lives. Oh my gosh, they're writing Black Lives Matters. Even Bill de Blasio in New York City was out there with finger paints like a 2-year-old in school, painting on the ground in front of Trump Tower to make a statement. Well, oh my gosh, guys, we're really excited about that one. Oh, that's really a good one. Bill de Blasio, you're the greatest mayor ever. The greatest mayor fail ever in that New York history there. And so they're robbing and doing this damage. They're breaking windows. They're doing damage to property. And there was a young lady out there that said, in fact, I will call her a young savage, because she said this: in the United States of America, someone's property being broken, the sweat, the years that they spent building that business. And she says, this is reparations. They got insurance. Excuse me. Insurance is supposed to emergency. Can you hear what these people are saying, ladies and gentlemen? They are absolutely Looney Tunes. You would thought they were built in a movie or something like that. But you have the looters out there. The arsonists come in after they've looted and torn the building down, broken all the windows, spray painted the outside of the concrete or the mortar, or whatever you want to call it. They come in and we're going to burn the place up. That's what we do. Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they are an organization of matchlighters. That's all they do. They want to burn up everything after locusts first, and then they start to burn everything up. That is their motto. So this is the agenda, guys. It's no longer about George Floyd. When is the last time you guys heard George Floyd? Crickets. Oh, let's go. Crickets. George Floyd. Oh my gosh. When's the last time you guys heard of George Floyd? You have not. Then you have the Rayshard Brooks, and you have on and on and on. And every single situation is a powder keg in this country. And we can't allow this to be a new normal in our society. This is absolutely bonkers, ladies and gentlemen. DC Marcher says, this is war. Black Lives Matter. Antifa rioters attack police. Dallas, white Black Lives rioters stop traffic, curse out black woman. What is this? We're in bizarre world now. Now you have white people cursing out black people. If they're a cop, even if they're not a cop, they're probably going to curse you out. But everything's getting all twisted and societal norms are breaking down in this country. It is absolutely crazy. You know, so it's no longer about Breonna Taylor either. Today it is, but what is it going to be tomorrow? What are they going to conjure up tomorrow or next week or the week after that or the week after that or the week after that or the week after that? You can go on and on and on. And so Trump is praying for the officers. Trump is being actually the adult in the room. Trump is being the most normal, absolutely adult in this situation. But you have Biden and Harris tweet, say her name amidst street protesters. Harris, never stop speaking Breonna's name. What is this? Are we going to be falling asleep in perpetuity saying someone's name? Breonna Taylor. Breonna. It is horrible what happened to Breonna Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. It is horrible what happened to her. But things like this happen. It's called life. I walk down the street and there is a dead pigeon on the side of the road. Who killed the pigeon? How did the pigeon die? I don't know, but the pigeon is dead. That pigeon was once alive. That is the cycle of life. It is tragic, but as the evidence came out and things are starting to burst because the mob rule did not get the verdict that they wanted. Guys, we do not live in a nation of mob rule. We live in a nation of laws. That's where we live in the United States of America. But so I'm not going to be saying her name. And her parents want closure too as well. That is what the case said. That is what the cops said. The judges and the grand jury said it is over. Point blank, period. That is the reason why you have a system. Well, it doesn't work in favor of black people, some people say. Well, I think you're delusional. You need to stop drinking grandpa's cough medicine. So down here, article after article, it's almost like it's just exploded. And then the protesters, they take to the street in the scuffle with police. Armed protesters on the streets of Texas Capitol. Car drives through roadblock in Denver, hits protesters. Rioters attack police as they try to extinguish fires. Rioters set fires to the Hall of Justice. And when I think about the Hall of Justice, I used to watch Superman, back in the League of Justice or whatever it was. Back in the, you got the ring and the Green Lantern. They're all in there trying to make things happen in the world. But they set the Hall of Justice on fire. It makes me think about that. And other sites around Louisville. How is this being conducive or constructive to allowing us to heal and be a nation that is moving forward in this country? It is not. It is absolutely seditious. And so while Biden is still out there dodging questions about packing courts, more cities are burning under false pretenses that cops are going out attempting to try to kill every single black man that is walking out of his house after he has breakfast, eggs and bacon in the morning with his family. That's just not happening. So the radicalized moon bat base filled crazies out there, they're acting even more crazy. And I know there's a moon out somewhere in the world. Examining the behavior of these criminals. Examine the behavior. They're akin to a pin with a hand grenade that's been pulled out. You throw it right there in the crowd and there it goes. You know what happens. It's all psychological. That's the game plan. And it's to stir up the commotion. It's to cause problems. It's to break down the system, break the back of the system in this country. So who gives the news to you? Is it MSNBC? Is it CNN? Is it ABC? I don't think so. We have to get out there and be audacious and make sure that we absorb the news that is true so we can keep ourselves informed to protect our country. Every single one of you guys have an opportunity to be a Paul Revere. Every single one of you guys have an opportunity to be a common sense thinking American and fight for your country. It is absolutely awesome. That's what I say. But that's funny. All this stuff, the commotion, they're throwing powder kegs and throwing grenades, all these things into cities as situations that cause commotion. Oh, look at Trump's America. That's the picture, the narrative they're trying to paint is Trump's America is America full of derision, craziness, non-focused people, riots. Every single day as the world look at us, they think we're probably crazy too as well. But as we absorb the daily news, I mean the propaganda, because it's not news anymore, we have to come to ourselves and, like I said, be that journalist in our neighborhood, in our city, in our state. But rioters are being more, in their movements, they're being more, let's say, open, out in the open. I think you would call this bringing riot gear and unloading a U-Haul truck in relative daylight. That's, first of all, if you're coming to have a peaceful protest, why do we need riot gear and shills and all those other signs and of hate and fist and wow, I'm absolutely confused. But this is the normal social media buzz, and they think, oh, look at this, look at these guys out here destroying my city. Oh, well, just don't come with me. It's coming to a city near you guys. Don't doubt me on this. Forcing the everyday average American, they're out here struggling, trying to get home safely from their job and go back to work. Chicago is a war zone, and it's going to cost more and more and more. So what are we going to do? Say their names like some type of cult figure? I want to say my name. I love myself. Yanni. Oh my gosh. Every day, get in the mirror, I'm brushing my beard or whatever it may be, brushing the hair on your chest. You get up there in the morning, you're excited because you're alive, you're healthy, you have an opportunity to make a difference in the world, in this country. So, yeah, say my name, Yanni. So this is a crazy ideology. It's almost like a religion if you think about it. Say their name. Another person gets shot by the cops. Say their name. Another guy gets strangled by the cops. Oh, say their name. Justice. We want justice. And so as the case gets closed today, and then we're going to move on. As the case gets closed today, is there really closure? Is everything really done with? I'm not sure about that. But when we come back, we're going to leverage video technology and catch these criminals in the act of distributing equipment right here on the Midweek Review. Be right back.
But I won't resort to calling names today.
When it comes to fighting the libs, he's in the game 100%.
But these people are crazy.
Shooting it straight to the Americans.
100% responsibility, 100% accountability. How come evil is able to stand as programming you to believe?
A conservative, unhinged.
It's all about race relations and, well, we got to have this conversation. We don't have to have this conversation.
The killer of groupthink, the American's voice, and Yanni. Sundays at 10 a.m. Don't miss it.
And there they are, ladies and gentlemen, like a pack of wild dogs distributing riot gear in our country. This is unheard of. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Midweek Review. But I've never seen anything like this before. The cops are doing their best and they're getting beaten back with big sticks. But the fruit of inaction has caused these problems here. If you think about all the stuff that's going on in the country, think about it. The problems with the police officers, the problems with cops being shot, headshots, sitting in their patrol cars, having their lunch that their wives made for them, expecting them to come back home safely. And no, they're in the ER now fighting for their lives because of evil people attempting to take the lives of those who are just out there doing their job and serving. This is ridiculous, guys. And so the fruit of inaction is what it is in these Democrat-ran cities. Over in Louisville, police officers, two officers are shot tonight amid the Breonna Taylor protest. It says over at Breitbart, 2 Louisville Metro Police Department officers were shot Wednesday evening in downtown Louisville amongst protests in Kentucky. The grand jury did not bring murder charges against any of the officers involved in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. It is a horrible situation, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want anyone to die, but there are a couple of problems that we have to look at this article here. A couple of problems. You can't really put anyone or sentence anyone to these long sentences, sentence them to death, if they have a no-knock warrant. They have testimony from people who had nothing to do with the situation saying that they heard the cops announce themselves. If the cops have announced themselves based on secondhand witnesses, that means they did what they were supposed to do. Here's the problem. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend fires a shot. Common sense. If you hear a noise outside your house, you don't just go wildly shooting holes into walls like Yosemite Sam, the rootinest, tootinest, roughest, toughest, meanest gun slinger in the West. You don't do that. What you do, you wait and assess the situation. You put yourself behind a wall or something like that. I don't have to teach you guys what to do, but you don't blindly go shooting into walls. So as you exchange the fire and you shoot at the cops, what's going to happen? I'll tell you once, I will tell you twice, I will tell you a million times that the cops are going to shoot back. That is well within their rights to do that. I will shoot back. These guys have an obligation to go home to their families. They have an obligation to return to their household, to their babies and their wives. That's their responsibility after they go out and fight crime. It says here, amidst Twitter and all the buzz, Louisville police chief told reporters that the 2 officers are in stable condition, receiving medical treatment. The suspect is not yet in custody, still at hand. So go over at Breitbart, check that out, ladies and gentlemen. But the fruit of inaction, the fruit of these leaders not going after these criminals from the get-go, the statue pullers that were pulling down the statues all over the nation. Now this nation is bare. Where are the statues? No one seems to know where the statues are. They were there, and then they came and pulled them down. They destroyed them, threw them in the sea. And you heard what Nancy Pelosi said, right? I don't really care much about statues. You know, all she cares about her $20,000, $8,000 refrigerator, freezers, ice cream cones, and getting plastic surgery. That is sad at the expense of the American people. Let me tell you what, guys. She was not wealthy when she came into office. You know, they marry into wealth, and then they go into Washington. They get all this power. They collect power, and they hang on for years. Chuck Schumer came into office when I was a very, very young man. Nancy Pelosi came into office when I was a very, very young man. And now I look and I see them now. They're still there. It's like I was a preteen and you're still here. This is ridiculous. But the American people are disgusted at what they're seeing every single day. Poll tested recently here. It says that Nolte poll shows that a majority are turning against the rioters in the media. For a long time, they were asleep. They were in a deep, deep slumber. Like Rip Van Winkle, he could not awake to read a book. And so they were asleep. In a USA Today iPost poll, it shows that a majority of the country is disgusted with the Antifa, the Black Lives Matter rioters, and the national media. The poll has not received the attention that it deserves. Absolutely not, because the media is dead. The media is alive when it comes to the left and their articles, but it is dead when it comes to the Constitution and protecting the rights of all the American citizens that belong to this country. After nearly 4 months of rioting at the hands of the left, brown shirts, and domestic terrorists, and Antifa and Black Lives Matter, a full 64% of those polls said that they believe the protesters and the counter-protesters are overwhelming the American cities. That is what they're attempting to do, to overwhelm the system. Overwhelm and get everyone all jacked up off of hatred, everyone all jacked up off of division, and they're delusional in their thinking, and they cannot function. No country can function that way. It will implode from within. Meanwhile, we have Governor Gavin Newsom, because he is a loser, talking about trying to replace all the gas-running powered vehicles with electrical vehicles. Are you a scientist? Are you an inventor? I don't think you are. You are barely a governor. So over in California, it says Gavin Newsom bans gas-powered vehicles effective 2035. So in 2035, you will not be able to buy a vehicle that has gas power in 2035. So guys, look at it. That's about 16 years away. That will come quicker than you know. And where is he going to be 16 years from now? Does he plan on still to be governor? Who's going to make sure that this comes to play? Other people who are of the Democratic Party that wants to hold on to that power in that state. California was once a beautiful, flourishing state with beautiful flowers and fruits. You could smell the fruit trees as you drove through the cities and the towns back many years ago. But as they started to build and the population boom became more leftist and liberal, they started tearing things up. More laws came. Then people started moving out after they destroyed that city and that state. So that is a horrible thing. But it says California Governor Gavin Newsom announced Wednesday that the state will ban sales of gas-powered vehicles effective 2035. Newsom said that the audacious goal was necessary to achieve the state's goal of a 100% renewable energy by 2045. Now, the renewable energy thing, I kind of understand that, but you still need that goal, that Texas tea. Do you guys remember Green Acres? Green Acres is the place to be. An old show back from like, I think the 60s before I was born. And they would dun, 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 you know, fires. Oh, no, that one Green Acres is Beverly Hillbillies, yes. And they would say that, you know, the Texas tea, you know, the black gold coming out the ground. I don't know how I got Green Acres and both of them crossed, but back then, that's what it was about. That's what we need to keep our economy growing and thriving. Newsom said that his new executive order would eliminate the sales of internal combustion engines and move to electrical vehicles. Where did he get the knowledge to come to this assessment? How can he make this judgment call 16 years from now? How can he do this? He's doing it plain and simple because it's called liberalism. Anytime you go into these Democrat-ran states, and everyone knows now, it's a fact, you can't get away from it. You're in that Democrat state, you have lockdowns, mandatory things that you have to do, imposing on and infringing on your rights in the Constitution most of the time. The Constitution is only good when it's good for them, to beat you over the head like a cudgel, like a big mallet, like a big old giant. What's those clubs they had back in the days, right? Like a club. So I have a little bit of a mental patient type issue here. There's social media going around. There's a lady that found out that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had died. And she went completely ballistic.
Holy fucking shit, you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader
talking about Conniption Fit City. Let's give her the Mental Patient Award of the Year award. How about that? Yes. And that right there, once again, that is what I believe that the Democratic Party, that's how they think. That's their philosophy. The rage that is inside. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, clubbing people over the head, running down the street, knocking over cups and glasses of coffee while people are sitting, attempting to have a meal out on the patio here in America. And no one is putting it down. It is imperative that President Donald Trump win and pull out that beautiful, shiny, like he says, Insurrection Act, and put it down once and for all. Because we live in a society with rules and laws. And look, I love walking down the street. I love taking walks in the park. I love skipping to tunes if I want to here in America. And you can do that if you choose to. But around this Justice Judge Ginsburg, when, everyone's going to die sooner or later. And she was pretty old. I would say she had a pretty full life and lived not in extreme luxury, but as those Supreme Court justices, they have the best health care. They don't have to really want for anything. And they have lifetime appointments, so they're employed forever for the most part. But it's always sad when someone dies or loses a loved one, they pass on, especially if it's like a grandmother or something like that. Your grandma is close to your heart. I lost my grandmother many years ago, and I think about her all the time. Or your grandpa. But these things happen. It takes a toll on the mental psyche. It's taking a toll on America, is what I say. I've been thinking about this movie lately, and I think you guys remember the movie Chucky. What was that? A Cult of Chucky. Yes, A Cult of Chucky, that little doll movie. But it's getting close to Halloween, so I think it's appropriate for me to talk about this. All the changing colors, the leaves are falling, the wind is blowing. It's absolutely beautiful here in America. And I'm going to pop up in a party scene and do my little Batman thing I was telling my wife. But everyone's ready to get dressed up. But America wants to get dressed up too. They want to get dressed up in this fancy clothes. America wants to be liberated and set free again. America needs to breathe, most definitely. But in Washington, they have a different party. The movie of sorts, and it surrounds the Supreme Court justice. I call this the cult of Ginsburg. Oh, she dies and they're going absolutely crazy out there, memorials, and that's fine and dandy. But once again, she's not God. She just isn't. But they're treating these Supreme Court justices like they're gods. People mourning rightfully, crying in their beer rightfully, kneeling and weeping in front of Supreme Court rightfully. I think that's fine. But they're acting like this is the coming of the Messiah. And the things and the way they're responding, wanting to pack the court, wanting to eliminate and abolish the electoral college that will absolutely upend this whole country. It's fascinating that the media is absolutely silent on this. So it's important for us to spread the news and be accurate in pinpointing these cultish fools that are roaming in America, and they're hitting on every front. They're attacking the Catholic Church. They're attacking the new nominee that the president is highly considering. And so it never stops. It never stops, guys. So they're in front of the court. And just for a second, they don't think, wait a minute. I've been hurled into the cult of Ginsburg. Everybody, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, all these networks, they're playing the Ginsburg movie, the Ginsburg song, It Is So Sorry. But you turn on the television, there they are. You look at the media like a pack of banshees going off and having meltdowns because there's an empty seat. President Donald Trump, hear what I'm saying here. Get the nomination done. Get it done before the election. Show them that you got guts, because we know you got guts. We know you're a GOAT, and go handle business. That's what I say. And I'm trying not to be biased, but on a situation like this, when it's as clear as possible, we need to side with common sense. And I see the president acting that way. But honoring people is respectable. It's a noble thing to do. But it's a complete, utter mind explosion out there. People are losing their minds. And so they'll be chopping at the bit because they're afraid that the Roe versus Wade is going to fall down. But like I said before, 200,000 deaths. You compare the coronavirus, they're beating the president up on the 200,000 deaths, and we've killed about 60,000 babies in this country. So that's what they're fearing. And so it's all good, guys. Check out this little clip here of how these people are going crazy about the deceased, especially Chuck Schumer. We're going to follow the bouncing ball as he's talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg's last dying wishes, which I'm kind of starting to think cast doubt on it like the president does too. I think they're trying to stir the pot, ladies and gentlemen. Let's play clip number 3. Let's go.
Of all different types and kinds. And she was an amazing woman. And so the first reason we're here is for unity, and the second is to honor her legacy, to demand that her last wish be fulfilled by the Senate. She said, "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed." We believe that. So do the American people. Today, a Reuters poll came out and said 62% of Americans agree with her. So that means that's such a high number, it has to mean that Democrats, Republicans, and Independents all agree that it is only right and it is only fair for us to abide by RBG's last wish, that she be replaced when a new president is installed. But the third reason we're here is
These people are so dumb. They need an instruction manual to understand you. And her last wish. Listen to what they're saying here. What are we in 12th grade? Are we trying to nominate the football team captain? No, we're not. We have to replace this judge. This is a big deal here. And so they're out there putting words out there. Look at the picture. They got the little words, and that how did these people stay in power? It is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. And they're still there ruining our lives, constantly messing with us as we're going on about our day here in America. And the opportunity they go off into Chuck Schumer, off into attacking the president, talking about taking health care away once again, talking about the LGBT, talking about all these the things that have nothing to do in the midst of a pandemic and us attempting to recover our economy. It is absolutely absurd. Gay marriage, that's what they're focusing on. Making all these promises to make everything better. Chuck Schumer has been in office since 1981. That is a long, long time. And my question to everyone else is, if he didn't do it then, they're not going to do it now. They're just not. And so they're attempting to thwart the seat. It's going to happen. They're trying to keep it vacant as long as they can. But what's going to be is what's going to be. And so they're terrified. So they're fear-mongering the American people. Stay strong, stay diligent, and make sure we vote them out in November. We are less than a month and a half away. What? Is that right? Month and a half away from the election. So fire it up. Let's go. That's awesome. One more thing I want to share with you guys. Oh, McCain's wife. She has been having that bitter pill. You know, President Trump's had that feud and spat with McCain when he was alive. But McCain did some dirty things too. The media has not covered Donald Trump in a fair light either. I've looked at it and I say, well, you know, McCain, some things Trump probably shouldn't have said. Let's get it right here. There are some things Trump probably shouldn't have said, right? You know, World War vet, you know, being captured, but that's Trump. That's his opinion. He has the right to that opinion. Do I like the opinion? No, absolutely not. But he has that right. But everyone is bashing him as John McCain is an integral part or a small piece of the fake Pete dossier that got President Trump in all this hot water that had nothing to do with him. So Cindy McCain, the wife of the late Senator John McCain, due to endorse Joe Biden. Whoop-de-doo. Everyone's excited. Stop the presses, everybody. She's going to endorse Joe Biden. The widow of the late U.S. Senator John McCain plans to endorse Joe Biden on Wednesday, giving her former vice president another boost from the prominent Republican. Guys, the prominent Republican, these are rhinos. They're not even like the Republicans back in the day. They're a weak version, a weak sauce version of a Republican. Trump is dominating them all. So if they want to move that chess piece to that side, I say go ahead and do that. Biden leaked Cindy McCain's political plans during a fundraising call Tuesday evening. Maybe I should say it. Maybe I shouldn't say it, Biden told campaign donors, but I'm about to go on one of these Zoom with with John McCain's wife, who is a first time ever is endorsing me. He is so excited about someone endorsing him who I didn't even know who she was. I didn't even know she existed. No offense to Mrs. McCain. Well, of course she had to exist because their daughter's on The View. But nevertheless, I didn't know who she was. And so what does Trump do? In good old Trump fashion, and that's why they don't like Trump. They want to get rid of him. Trump will always hit back. His style, his savviness, his smoothness. He's a tiger in the den. That's what he is. It's absolutely awesome. But in that Donald Trump fashion, that Donald Trump style, that counterpunching style, Donald Trump says, Cindy McCain, you can have sleepy Joe Biden. President Donald Trump reacted to the news that John McCain's widow, Cindy McCain, would endorse Joe Biden for president. Never a fan of John. Cindy can have sleepy Joe, Trump wrote on Twitter. Cindy McCain said that she preferred Biden for president because his character, his empathy. You know, it's so funny. They talk about character and empathy, and the one that's doing all the work is President Donald Trump. You get tired of this crap. Every single day, the drum beat, the lonesome drum, dum, da, dum, 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 the evil Trump, evil Trump. It's going to be so sad when Trump is gone because all these guys are going to be out of a job. I want to feel my president cares about me and cares about this country. What President Trump has done for the military, doesn't he care for the country? What President Donald Trump is doing for building the wall, does he not care for the country? What President Donald Trump is doing for the opioid addiction in this country, does he not care for the country? What President Trump is doing for the child trafficking epidemic that we have in this country, is he not doing enough? Does he not have empathy? So the false narrative that they're putting out there, it is fake, false news. We want to distribute the truth news so people can understand that their country is on the right direction, going down the right path. But Trump described Biden as John McCain's lapdog. So many bad decisions on endless wars in the VA, which I brought from a horror show to a high approval rating. He wrote, yeah, it was a horror show. You guys remember ISIS? You don't hear those guys anymore. You don't hear ISIS, people being boiled in water, drowned alive, chopped in half. It is brutal. The president said that he hardly knew Cindy McCain other than putting her on the committee. I hardly know Cindy McCain other than having put her on the committee at her husband's request, Trump wrote on Twitter. So guys, it's a whole lot of this and that, but Trump is definitely a counterpuncher. But on that note, that's all that I have for this week for the midweek review. Glad to have you guys here. We'll see you guys next week at the same time here on the midweek review. And I'm your host, absolutely Yanni.